Hi, I'm Wolf Marshall, and today we're going to look at double stops and how players apply them to riffs and solos. We'll learn some great licks in different styles along the way and see why this technique has become a mainstay in the guitar world. Technically, a double stop is created when two notes are played at the same time. Double stops on adjacent strings are probably the most common, such as these. But non-adjacent strings can be used too. Regarding the right hand, almost all the examples in this lesson can be played with a pick or fingers. Or you could also use both, which is called hybrid picking. You may want to experiment and see what method or methods you prefer. To get started, let's apply double stops to a scale shape we're probably all very familiar with, the minor pentatonic. For clarification, here's the scale in A minor. Now let's play the scale in double stops. In other words, you'll be playing through the scale 2 strings at a time. It looks like this. With the exception of these 2 double stops, which are major thirds, every other double stop we played was a fourth. This creates a powerful sound that can be used to thicken up a normal line. For example, you could take this line, 1, 2, 3, 4, and play it as a double stop for a different effect, like this, 2, 3, 4. Or maybe something like this, 1, 2, 3, 4. With double stops, it would sound like this, 1, 2, 3, 4. A very common approach with double stops involves the Dorian mode mixed with the blues scale. That may sound complicated, but this is all we're talking about. When we play the double stops from this shape, we get this, 1, 2, 3, 4. This little shape has been used in countless riffs throughout the years. Things like this, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now when you add the major third to this shape here, you've got all the ingredients needed to play some great Chuck Berry style licks. 1, 2, 3. Or some old Delta blues style things. 1, 2, 3, 4. And speaking of Delta blues, double stops are perfect for turnaround licks. Here are 4 variations on a turnaround in G using double stops. The first one uses chromatically descending thirds. A 1, 2, 3. Here we're descending chromatically with 6. 1, 2, 3. More chromatic 6. 1, 2, 3. And this last one uses a pedal point on top, this high G note here. 1, 2, 3. There are lots of variations on these basic turnaround ideas. Experiment with them and see what else you can come up with. You can never know too many turnaround licks. Another style where double stops are constantly used is the Motown R&B style, which was popularized by players like Steve Cropper, Robert White, Curtis Mayfield. Jimi Hendrix built on this style and made it a big part of his rhythm playing. It involves sliding, hammering on, or pulling off certain double stops around certain chord shapes. The most common double stops used are thirds, fourths, and sixths, but other intervals can be used too. Let's start with this G bar chord. Now we'll take a look at some typical embellishments we might play in this style. You can mix and match all these embellishments to create some very interesting rhythm parts that are fun to play. You might come up with something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or maybe something a little more funky. 1, 2, 3, 4. By sliding some sixths around on the higher strings, you get some of those great Steve Cropper type riffs. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a great exercise you can do that will really help you learn the most commonly used double stops all over the neck. First, pick a key. Let's say we're going to use G major. Start on the two highest strings and play through the notes of the G major scale in thirds, all the way from the lowest position you can find up until you span an octave. In our case, the lowest third in the key of G is on these two strings, C and E. So we'd start there. It would look like this. Basically, you're playing a G major scale on one string, but you're doing it two strings at a time in thirds. You can do this on every set of two adjacent strings. And so on. Then you can do the same thing with sixths, starting with the first and third strings. And then move to each other set of strings. And so on. You can do this with any interval you'd like, fourths, fifths, sevenths, etc. After you get through all the intervals, change keys. You might work on a new key every day or two until you've covered all 12 keys. By the time you've done all that, you'll know your double stops all over the neck, and you'll be able to throw them into your riffs or solos anytime you like. Well, that does it for this lesson. I hope you enjoy applying these concepts to your playing, and good luck!